Computer. Lights.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Thursday. Today we're going to work on what we call breaking a script. So when you write a comic script, like I have written here, we want to break it down and then make sketches and designs and stuff like that before we actually start building the pages. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to break this script. So we've already kind of done part of this. We've done the first scene of this is the first 10 pages of the script. It's a bigger script than it looks. Always is. So we're going to go over to the desk over here, and we're going to work on this over there. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the desk. There we go. Now, what we've got over here, oh man. First of all, I guess it should go without saying that there are spoilers involved in the first scene of Bellatrix Rising here. So, if you want to avoid spoilers, I'm just going to use just a normal pencil for this and an eraser. And the rest of this we'll just put right back where it belongs. I've got this really nice, very interesting book here. This is a fascinating and rather cool thing. This is not one, but this is a book designed specifically for working on manga, right? So the entire thing here is layout pages for manga, and then down here in the back, we go further into the back, it actually has full-size, full-up pages. So we're going to work here in the layout grids first. And this tells that these are just rough, very, very, very rough designs of what we're doing. Okay? And I'm actually going to start, these grid pages are actually tear-outable, so we can tear them out, which is good because actually that belongs to that script. And I don't want to mess with it now. So I'm going to go back to YouTube here. I'm going to pull this back out of this. Man, you guys are not making this easy for me, are they? Because it should be live right now. That's not me. Work. I'm trying to get my iPad here to bring it up because I can't really read my screen without my glasses on. And without my glasses on, can't see what you're saying on the screen per se. It's kind of rough. There we go. I'll bring that up. I can work here. All right. There. We are having some really interesting problems with. There we go. That's what we want. Alright. It's the 17th. Okay. So what we've done already here is I've taken this script and I have broken it down, right? So this section right here indicates a splash page, and this indicates this is page 2 right here. This is page 3. Here's page 4. 5 goes to the next page right here. And I've added some pieces in here where I realize that no matter which way I want it, I want to kind of see and perceive some scene or thought process that I need to give myself instructions on. Here's page 6, 7, 8. You can even see here, I decided that this line right here really should be here. So that's 8, here's 9, and then 10 is a splash. And this puts us to the end. This 9 pages is the first sequence. So we're going to take, and we now know that we are going to use 9 pages, right? Now, we can use both sides of this. I find that to be kind of complicated, so I'm going to go ahead and just do one side, and this will give us fixing sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Next page. 5, 6, 7, 8. Next page. 9. 10 is a splash. And then we start the next section. The reason, like I said, the reason I didn't do the other side of these pages is not to be wasteful, but we will have fudge factor. I'll do this page and I'll look at the page and I'll be like, I don't want that. So I'll redraw a page 1 back here. And that'll give me the ability to take this and go, this is the correct page 1. Later, when I'm working on the final versions of this, I can take these pages, the little thumbnail sketches, to kind of give an idea of what we're looking at. I can take those thumbnails and I can scan them into the computer, and we can put them in the correct order and not scan the screwed up page, but rather scan the one that's correct. You get the idea. Okay. So this is what we call a splash. Splash pages are full page artwork. I'll show you an example of it right here. Using one of my favorite, all-time favorite comics. This is Macross 7 Trash, but that's a splash. Okay, so in here, these are actual pages. And what we will do is we're looking at this is going to be this page. It's a splash. But this is also a splash. So manga is going to have a couple of that, right? A couple of those. We've got the title splash, and then we've got a chapter splash, right? In the case of this one, we're not doing, this is a pre, book. This is a book that comes before the book. I don't even know what to say. I can't tell if you can hear me or not. I mean, I'm not seeing anything happening on. Well, we've been talking this entire time. And it looks like, oh, the mixer's running. Why? And the desk camera is running, but I don't see any movement on the desk camera. I guess you guys can hear me. I just probably sound like I'm a million miles away. Well, no, I mean, I guess you can hear me just fine even from a million miles away, but usually I turn the microphone on to the Ring camera or to the desk camera, but apparently it's not working. So I sound a million miles away. Here, I'll try to at least help out a little by turning this way and aiming it towards me. There we go. At least the microphone's aimed at me now. It may be a million miles away, but you can at least sort of hear what I'm saying. Okay, so this is a splash, and this is what we call a chapter splash because this is going to be inside another book. Probably what's really going to happen with these particular comics is in the long run, they won't be part of the actual lexicon of stories. There'll be flashbacks, there'll be prologues, there'll be something different. So we look then at page 2, and it says that it's absolutely black, right? This is one of those where it's good to kind of have just, that tells you it's absolutely black, right? We hear Lee, question mark, right? And we'll do Lee, wake up, right? And then we'll do this. And we're at the halfway mark right here. And we'll see she's laying in bed right here. So we'll just do her face and her eyes right here. And she's half lidded because she doesn't want to wake up. And she'll say, and this will be all in blue. So this is dark around here. And then she says, you know, just kind of, just enough to understand what's going on, right? Mom, 5 more minutes. Right? And then this last panel down here, we'll see a glow from right over here. And everything else is going to be pitch black. We've got a bed, which is right here. And Lee is in the bed. Right, so and a blanket here and a dresser, and all you're getting out of this is just one half of this. Right? Not anything else. We don't want to show too much. Something is glowing. That's Lee. Get up. Sir. I hate you. Right? Now we've established a scene. So I'm using this, what we call a a horizontal format for this, where you've got all of your panels are in this horizontal format. So it's going all the way across. So that's what we've got going on here. These 4 panels are doing that. Okay. So now we're going to establish, though, a large page. We want to do what we call a character establishment, right? When you look at, say, for example, in here on Mikimoto, we're establishing her as a character through this entire sequence by showing what she's doing. Well, we don't have the luxury of that because we don't have many pages for it. And so we've got a scene that's actually happening between these 2 characters. But this is more what I'm looking for right here. Right? This is an establishment of what's going on. She's lying in bed, asleep, right? And this is an establishment of the scene. So we're going to do something similar to this. So we're going to take, at this point in time, we're going to just divide the page in half. And this is a scene establishing shot, or establishing to here. Now, in manga is read from right to left. In American comics are read left to right. I'm a manga style artist, but still writing in English and still writing in an American style, or an American format. So my artwork will always be left to right, which makes some sense. That's the way you'll read my stories and stuff like that. So they redesigned the layout of of the page for Restream, and now I'm not used to where everything is. It's okay. I like the new layout. The layout looks great, but I'm still trying to go, where is everything on that screen? I don't know. All right. So now we've divided this into 2. We're making an establishment here because this is a lead and this is establishing a scene. Okay, so what we've got is we're going to have the character Jen sitting in a chair. Right here. And it is clear she is the source of all of this light. Right? And here is our sleeping Lee, who's not happy. She is grumpy and stuff like that. I like to use kind of a weird angle. We're looking at a strange angle. It looks kind of bizarre. That kind of stuff. I like that. And we'll just illustrate that she's lighting up this area right here, right? And then it's, no you don't, sir. And then right from here. Right. And then it's close up on Jen. And she says, ship out. Okay, so at this point in time, she bolts upright in bed. Jane does. Right in bed. Blankets going everywhere. Things are kind of flying. We'll have her pillow coming out from behind her like this. She's like, "What?" Her hair is flying out all over the place. Right, she's sitting bolt upright in bed. What? Right. So we only have 3 panels in this page. The number of panels that you put on a page for me, and this varies from artist to artist, so take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. The number of panels that I put per page is generally by the speed of which I want the story to move. If we're in a slow-paced, like not moving very fast sort of thing, I put fewer panels. Once we get into really high, intense, very fast-moving, frenetic, lots of things happening, I'll put in 7 or 8 panels. Generally speaking, the average is about 5 panels. Anything above 5 for me is frenetic. Something is frantic happening. There's stuff going on because the page gets busy, right? You start looking at the page and it starts chattering up with lots of lines, obviously. It's because you've got many pictures in there. So for me, I feel like the busier the page, the more frenetic it is, the more we've got things happening. And it works really well for dramatic formats because what you'll do is you'll do 7 panels, 8 panels, 7 panels, 6 panels, 7 panels, and then 1 panel. And when you do that 1 panel, that's the moment where everybody goes, ah, and has a pause where they realize something dramatic has occurred. And so I like to kind of make the paneling be part of the storytelling. And that's what we're doing here. We're still slow. There's not a lot going on. Darren, we've got one character sitting in a chair talking to another character who's asleep in bed. Lee is not going to be awake. She's not ready for the world. She hates people. She needs her coffee, So we got kind of a ways to go before she's at any kind of frenetic activity. Jen, on the other hand, has been working for a few hours, starting up another ship, fueling the ship, getting everything ready. So Jen's already at speed. So as far as these 2 characters go, one of them is really out. But our POV character, the character that's our point of view, she's the one that is slow and sluggish. So my paneling is going to be sluggish too. The story is being told from her point of view, from Lee's point of view, so we're going to go to there. Okay. The next page here is page 4. And we've got more panels in here because there's stuff going on. But if you look, we can break this down. And we've got a large dialogue piece. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So we should never put more than 25 words in a bubble. So this particular paragraph right here is going to have to be 2 bubbles. I see 1, 2, 3 bubbles almost. And then this is a big statement right here. This can all be 1 panel, right there. And actually, I feel like this is the cutoff for 4 and 5. Now, it is not uncommon for me to go back through and redo the page placement. Nothing is cut in stone until literally you're laying down ink on the page. Nothing's cut in stone. So I'm moving the cut here to here. And that's going to give me more stress on page 5, but we'll worry about that in a second, okay? So this is page 4. I've already grouped this into one panel. And this is one panel. This has to be its own panel because a character is looking at her saying nothing. So you have to have that in its own panel because otherwise there's no pause in the story. Okay, so then this is its own panel, and I'll be okay in a few minutes. You know what? Actually, now looking at this actually does work here. So I'm going to move this back down. Move it up, move it down, move it up, move it down. We're moving all kinds of stuff. We're horrible people. Okay. So here's where our dividing line is, right here. So we're going to we've broken page 4 down. And what we see here is we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 panels. The point of view of this particular page has changed a little bit, though, in the very beginning, because Jen, who is an engineer, is all excited about what's going on in her world. So it can be a little bit more frenetic. And we have to remember that one panel is solely a look. That look of, really? Are you sure? Like Thor. But really? So we've got one panel that's in there. It's that, So really we have 4 panels of operation going on here. We're going to take the top quarter of this page, or top third, and dedicate it to this top piece, because you're not supposed to have more than 25 words in a bubble. So Jen has a lot to say here, right? So here is Jen explaining things. We've got 1 bubble, 2 bubbles, 3 bubbles. Okay, so that's going to be here is 1, here is 2, and here is 3. All right. We're just going to go on ahead, and here is where we're going to have, and I'm going to use slanted lines. I'm using slanted lines because Lee is still partially asleep, right? So the more crooked and weird the lines are, the more you're feeling like Lee is sort of that way when you first wake up in the morning and one eye won't open as much as the other eye will. And you're not sure if you are still dreaming or maybe you're awake and this is like some weird nightmare, or who are you? I'm trying to kind of give a little bit of sense of unease because Lee is still not awake, right? So I'm going to slant these, and I'm actually going to intentionally make them the wrong size and make each panel offset like this, because Lee is not together and with it, and she ended up being shocked right here, right? Like, oh my God, right? And it's interesting because this is where all the thinking is. How do you emote your characters? That happens in this weird beginning stage, right? Also, real quickly, before I get off of this page, if you will, I won't actually sketch out a splash. And the reason is because I'm going to think about it. I'm going to think about where I want to be with this splash. In Western comics, like your X-Men or things like that, they usually integrate the splash. So the splash is part of it's the scene establishment. You'll see, all of your characters standing around, and two of them are getting married, right? So the splash will start with all the characters and the two main characters in the front holding hands and looking longingly, and it will say, do you take so and so for your wife? I do. And then page 2 will be where the bad guy attacks. With manga, they actually use the splash separately. It's a completely different universe. It's generally speaking, it's the main character or main characters, and they're doing something different. It's not related. Like this is Mahara, one of the characters from Macross 7. And it's literally a sketch that Mikimoto had done of Mahara standing on a flight deck somewhere with her coat flapping behind her. But when we start into the story, we're not even with Mahara, right? Because Mahara is this character, and that's not who this character is. This is not the same character. And neither is this character or this character. All of these characters are not the character we just saw in the splash, right? And even when we get to here, right, we go a long ways. Wow, we're going. I actually never really thought of how long it is until we go through here. We're a long ways in here. Wow. Man, I'm actually horribly curious now. There. First time we see Mahara. It's freaking 40 pages in. So the splash on a manga doesn't always fit. Usually, what I have seen as sort of a thing is that the splash in a manga will be the character of which the entire segment is centered on, which may not be the character you're going to see on page 1. So, for example, let's go back to our analogy we were using before, where we had two characters getting married. It's Spider-Man and, come on, what's her name? The Mary Jane. Whoo! I don't know what my problem was all of a sudden there. Spider-Man and Mary Jane, they're getting married. We have all of our superheroes behind them. And in the next page, all of the characters get killed. And it's going to be the time character whose whole job it is to go back in time and stop this and this and this and this from happening to save that wedding. Okay, so that's the entire plot of our comic book. If this was a manga, that first splash will be the time character. Let's say it's Rocket from the Guardians of the Galaxy. He's got a little time box that allows him to go back and forth through time. Rocket will be on the splash. And it might be Rocket holding a bunch of guns, because Rocket does those things, right? So you got Rocket holding a whole bunch of guns. Page 1, Spider-Man and Mary Jane are getting married. And you're like, what does it have to do with Rocket? Then you find out through the entire story that Rocket's the only one that survived everybody getting killed. The Thanos snap, right? Everybody got killed. And so now Rocket's the only one who can stop Thanos. Let's just make this stuff up. See, now I already have like a really cool comic. You should hire me, Marvel. I'm just saying. I'd totally have Rocket killing off Thanos. It'd be awesome. Might also be a dream that Rocket's having. But that's how manga works, right? The splash may not have anything to do. So I will, TLDR, after all this yammering, I won't do the splash until I'm done with everything else, because then I'll get a feel of what I'm talking about. If this scene were the only scene in this comic, I might actually opt to have Jen here, because Jen is a character who is what we call bowing. She's taking her bow and leaving the story. She's been transferred. She's been moved to another ship. She's going somewhere else. Okay, 1, 2, 3. On this, back to page 4. What about a going away party? Right, so she's alarmed right here. I just draw eyes to remind me that she's alarmed and trying to argue something here. What about a going away party? We did that. Right? Now, here's another thing that we can do. We've got these two panels going on here. What I'm actually going to do at this point in time is change their location. So here's what we're going to do. What about? And then this here is going to have that. And the idea here is it's fully in this panel. This dialog box is fully, okay? Then I'm going to do this. I'm going to have her go, I don't remember. And she's going to look sad, right? Like, I don't remember. I don't remember doing that. I don't remember. And then we're going to have Jen say, I'm going to use the same, let's say, skipper, right? And then here I've got effectively now that I've realigned where these go, I take this, I don't remember. Skipper, you need to go easy. I'm not your skipper anymore, Jen. Jen looks at Lee saying nothing, right? So I've now made this into a coupled frame right there. So this is the same, they're looking at each other, but I put a divider between it, right? So we're going to have her with her eyes up like that. And I don't know, I might be able to just use this full panel here. The biggest problem that I've got is I have now done what you're not supposed to do. So here is another. You don't want to cross the middle. Okay, so there is a rule about my character's on the left, your character is on the right. My character is on the left, your character is on the right, and we never want to do this in the scene because it'll confuse your viewers. And we just did that. I literally just did that. By doing this. Okay, so she has been in this scene on the right. And we've had Jen on the left. And it started here, right? We've got Jen here. We've got Lee here. Then we go here. We've got Jen here. We've got Lee here. Even when she sits up, she's looking this way, which means that she's on the right. Then here we have her on the left. So the problem we've got is that I want this sequence right here to be the two characters facing each other. But in order to do that, we'd have to either flip it or we'd have to have the characters out of order, right? And we don't want that. So this is a great sequence to have them facing each other. That's awesome. It's going away because we can't afford to have that, sadly. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take Lee. She's going to look downtrodden this way. Right? And then that way, it's here. Here's Lee. She says, I don't. We might even be able to keep this the way it was. And what we will probably do is this. I like this long format where we have Jen here in a chair, sitting here looking at her, and Lee in her bed. Right? You know what would be even better though? Looking at my script, this is the end of page 4. And I'm going to hate myself later for this. But these lines, they really belong to this scene or this segment. I mean, it's like grouping. You want to kind of group your pages in sort of a uniform way. I mean, you want to group the idea. One of the things that I had read once was that a page of comic should have one thought, one concept to it. So when you group up your script, if you have characters constantly changing thoughts, you want to group them to their pages. So the pages will be one concept or one idea or one action. And that's pretty much where you want to be until you get into frenetic action, at which time you can put many actions on a page. But again, we're back to slow. Lee has not had coffee. She's just woken up. She's slow. She's sluggish. Everything's going to take its time. And the truth of the matter is we don't have to worry too much. This is a prologue. So we don't have to worry about action. We don't have to worry about grabbing people by the face and throwing them into the story, which is what we're going to do with episode 1. So, okay. She'll say, take it easy. And I'm not your skipper. And this is where we do, this is the same scene. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold right here. I'm going to make the two panels identical, and it's going to give you that dramatic pause, right? We had Lee say, Jen says, "You got to take it easy, Skipper," and Lee says, "I'm not your skipper anymore." She snapped at her, She hasn't had coffee, right? And so the next panel is Lee doing this, and Jen sitting there expectantly on the other side, right? Lee's not one to apologize. So when we move to panel 5, or page 5, we look at this and we say, what's going on? We've got a lot of hold on page 5. There's a lot of that. She just snapped at Jen, stress, and she needs a minute. She just needs a minute, right? And she even says that. She says, "I'll be okay in a minute," right? And Jen goes, "Lee," and she says, "Just give me a minute. I'll be okay in a minute." Jen says, "All right." Then Chang drinks water, right? And then it's like that awkward moment, right? You just snapped at your friend. You feel bad because you snapped at your buddy, and your buddy is taking it in stride because your buddy realizes you haven't had coffee, right? Yeah. So we want to illustrate this page. And the action in this is one real point. Okay. So we look at the action on this particular scene. We have one point we're really trying to get to. And that is Chang's trying to kind of come up with small talk. So she says, "Hey, where's the Red Dragon shipping out to?" And Jen gives the knowing look of, "You can't ask me that. You're not allowed to ask me that. I'm not allowed to tell you." And Chang just goes, "Shit," and drinks some more water, right? Because A, of course she knows that. B, that was a stupid thing for her to do. And C, if it's top secret, then probably it's dangerous. So this is her buddy, right? So we're going to start with Lee drinking water. So the business here is going to be Lee making, some kind of water thing happen over here. I don't even know what I'm doing. And she's grabbing water. So we're looking here. And I'm going to skip these lines. Looking at these lines, I feel like they're superfluous, right? So I'm just going to put this and say, "I'll be okay in a few minutes," and then cut that out. And actually, I'll leave "all right" in because that does make sense, right? And here she's drinking water. And I'm actually going to really put this in here where she drinks the water because I want to illustrate this pause. Right, so we'll do this. watching this whole thing go down. Right? So we've let her have a minute. Okay. I'll go in here for this. We get Lee says, so where is the Red Dragon shipping out? And this is going to be a hard panel for me. Because this has to be sort of a panel where the character is saying, I can't tell you. So I have to put it all on her face. Now, unlike before, where I was trying to face the two together, I actually don't mind offsetting it so that she's looking this way and she's looking this way because there's opposition, right? Lee just said the wrong thing. As a officer in the military, you don't ask your buddies where they're going on top secret missions. It's just not a thing. It's against the unwritten code of conduct. So she's made a mistake. So I've got them at opposition. Jen understands. Jen's an old friend, has been around for a very long time. So Jen gets it. But you can already see that I've deviated from my breakdown of the script quite a bit. I've already done some breaking down here, So kind of get into a different reality, sort of, with this particular thing. So, okay. What's going down on paper is a little different than what usually happens. Okay, so I can go on ahead and do this. Because wonky panels don't help. I mean, make this feel uncomfortable. Right? So I'm going to have her looking down like this. And she looks, yeah. And then right here, I'll have her drink more water. Right. So we have not a lot going on in this particular page. We have a lot of panels that don't have any dialogue. We have a lot of non-action going on. No action. The action's all going to be resting literally on this panel. And I'm going to have to be extra careful with this panel to make sure that it reads correctly, because this is the panel where everybody's going to go, oh, you want that to read to your audience correctly. So I need to give the, I can't tell you, that look. She has to look. Can't tell you. So that's where we are. Okay, I'm on to 6. Now, Jen changes the subject here. I looked into your new crew. My replacement looks promising, right? So we're still in these two talking to each other, right? So I looked into your new crew. My replacement looks promising. Promising, that's not good. He's young. He was brought online a little over 3 years ago, right? Now, at this point in the story, I want more business going on, right? You can't just have, that's just boring after a while. So, looking at this, Lee has to be starting to get out of bed. She's doing something, right? We want her getting out of bed. So, what I will probably do is an old trick that many people have done before, which is start showing things that aren't the two characters talking to each other. This goes back to Wally Wood's 22 scenes that you can use whenever your writer's an idiot. And I'm the writer, so I'm the idiot, and it's one of those things. I'm going to go on ahead and start showing the business. Lee's getting out of bed. So I'm going to show her pulling her legs out of bed, putting her legs on the floor, putting on her bunny slippers. I don't know. We'll find something. What does Lee do getting out of bed? She's scraping her eyes. She's scraping out the sleep. She's probably got like crusty goobers in her eyes, whatever. I mean, you get up in the morning, that's what you do, right? Your hair's a mess, and life sucks. I hate people. She's already drinking some water, so she's getting going there. But we're gonna get her moving now, because there's a lot of talking going on here.
It's time to take a quick break.
Okay, we got to take a quick break though. First, oh my goodness, and that's why, right? So let's switch back to the Ring camera. Everybody stand up. Stand up. You know how this goes. Stretch. Reach. Oh, yeah, that's good. Oh, yeah. See, just like that. Oh. That makes me cough. Bend to either side. Twist. Twist. And now we'll go for a walk. And we'll come back from our walk. We'll go over here. And we'll go look outside. We do need to close this, though. There we go. Come back around. And we'll come back into here. Hey. Hey, George. You want scritches, George? No. You don't want scritches? Here. Here. We should talk to people online. The show is pretty much you and me, It's all about you and me. Oof. Oh, we got George. Look at George. Yeah, isn't that cute? I think he's seeing the number of Georges all over the place. Like, that looks like me. There's another cat. Probably not another cat, really. Not another cat, really, is it? There we go. Hey, a visit from George. Good going, George. There we go. We'll continue with our show. I don't know. I feel like this must be boring, but we'll get back to it. Breaking down comics is really about as exciting, I'm sure, as, not very exciting. Anyway, I'm hoping I'm giving you guys some information that's cool. Okay, moving on to page 6. She's changing the subject. I looked into your new crew. My replacement looks promising. Promising, that's not good. So we're going to do other things here. We're going to take this top panel here, and we're going to show Lee putting one leg out of the bed, the other leg's still in the bed. She's trying to get out of the bed. She's trying to climber out of bed, right? Because we're going to have to establish this. Right? I don't know, I kind of like fuzzy slippers. Fuzzy slippers sounds funny. So it sounds humorous to think that maybe she does have fuzzy slippers that she puts on her bed. Although the character, as I think of her, let's think about Li Cheng as a character. She is disorganized. She's not with it. If she has fuzzy slippers, the fuzzy slippers are way down in, like, I don't even know. Her fuzzy slippers have to be somewhere weird. Who's messaging me? And Ian's asking me, what's up? Breaking down a comic on air. If you don't want to watch, kind of. Anyway, it's so Ian, who is a buddy of mine, and he's part of Starch Rec Props and Sabers. He actually isn't part of. He is. So yeah, he obviously likes. We usually hang out and like work together online. You know, I'll work here, he'll work there. We just keep each other company while we're working on our respective projects. So he's messaging me going, "What's up?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm breaking down a comic, but it's probably boring. I don't think he'll find it as exciting. So that's all right. This is what's got to be done today." I am putting an object between these two. And the real reason that I'm putting this object between these two is to make sure that there is a visual wall between them. They are, I mean, it's not intentional, but Lee is still tired. She's sleepy. She's cranky. She doesn't want to deal with this. And all of the things that Jen is bringing into her bedroom at this point in time, first thing in the morning, is crap that Lee doesn't want to deal with. So every time I show this kind of stuff, I'm going to intentionally put a barrier between them, like her dresser here. It's just a little dresser, a little glass of water on it. And that's to give an indication of this. Here, I'm changing the angle, so the dresser is actually like right here. And we're going to try to keep Jen in front of that dresser so that the barrier isn't there as much, because it indicates that it's telling people that there's a closeness all of a sudden here. And oh crap, says Lee, like, oh man, I hate you people, because Lee's cranky, she's sleepy, she doesn't want to deal with that. So I like the idea of maybe she had slippers, but I was just saying before all this came in that Lee is disorganized. She's completely disorganized. She has no organizational skill. So she might have bunny slippers, but they're gone. She doesn't know where they are. Right? So, maybe the next scene is her looking for her bunny slippers here. Or she finds the bunny slippers, but they're broken, right? Or screwed up. Right, so Jen says promising, right? And promising, right? He's fine, right? So she picks up one screwed up slipper. Um, she picks up one screwed up slipper or something like this, and it's messed up. And this gives good business for her. Right. And I will put the tails of these outside. So, if you're watching, Ian, thanks, dude. So, I did a painting yesterday of um, I did this painting. Here it is. I finished the painting that we were doing for the show. Here it is, this painting. But it's hard to see the metallic paints unless you pivot like the picture. Because I put metallics in the various parts of the ship. Like there's some metallic paint here, there's some metallic. It looks so cool in person because you can just tilt it back and forth. It all gets shiny. I'm into shiny. So, okay, back to work. Right? So over here we've got, she drops the bad news on Lee. And then now we can get a little bit more stressed. Right? Right? And it's okay at this point in time right? Now, here again, we're in a concept right here. This is one thought, one idea, one concept. We're using the concept we're working on. And the reason why I stopped talking for a minute there is because I'm realizing I'm running out of panels for what's left here. which means I probably should just have this one panel represent here and then move this to there. And that's probably a better choice. So I'm going to erase all of these out. And we'll have her fishing around for something out here. She's getting out of bed. She's fishing around for something. So we'll just do that. And then here in this panel, we'll have her pull the fuzzy slipper, and it's ruined. Right. And she just pulled the fuzzy slipper out from underneath her bed, and it's completely trashed or whatever. And this is where we have this going on, right? Right, so at this point in time, she's alarmed. Right? And it's right, there we go. That's what we want. And we're going to match sort of what we did 2 pages ago. Right? She's now sitting on the side of the bed. Maybe she's gesturing, which would be even funnier with the broken slipper, right? She's got the broken slipper and she's like, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, she's just gesticulating with this broken, screwed up slipper, which part of this is to show how much of a character we're dealing with our captain, right? Here's our captain. She doesn't even have 2 slippers. She has 1 slipper and the other one is like screwed up. We don't even know what's going on, right? And back to this scene here, because I've got that dresser between them, right? The dresser helps. Right now, what we've got again is the same situation, right? Here we've got, she's telling that, did it even work in the private sector? Nope. Right? So we've got this opposition, this opposition between the 2 characters. They're arguing with each other. They're not really arguing. She's telling Lee something Lee doesn't want to hear. So I'm letting the dialogue get between them. Right? Right. And then we've got, she's looking up like this. Right? And we have just one bemoaning statement, right? And that is, Jesus, he'll kill us all. This is not the stuff. I want to make sure she's got like stringy hair explosion. So she's not doing well this morning. She's got, nope, she hates life. She hates people. She hates everything. She hates you. She hates me. She hates the whole world. She hates it all. It doesn't usually take me this long to break down the pages. I'm explaining all the steps because I think it's kind of interesting, and frankly, I might forget in a few years this is what I was doing. So it's kind of nice to have sort of an online record of what the heck I was doing. I don't know. Anyway, so that's page 6. I may change past. Did it work? No. Okay. So these two panels work very good side to side, right? Because she's looking over here, and now she's looking straight at us, which indicates she's doing a blah, 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 and then it's what? Like we've gone from looking down to looking up, so those two panels work really well together. Then I love the idea that she's waving her broken shoe. I think that's hysterical. And then this super dramatic, he's going to kill us all, right? And actually, she should have her hands here to kind of indicate exasperation, right? She's like, he's going to kill us all. Right. She needs one more finger. And she should still be holding on to the shoe that is destroyed. That makes it even funnier, right? So she's still holding on to that shoe. And that makes this somewhat humorous, but also makes it human, right? Because it's a perfectly reasonable, stupid thing for her to do. All right, now we're on to page 7. Chang is going to get out of bed for the first time here. So we've changed thoughts again. That's why the page break is here. The page break is right here because we've had a little discussion about the pilot, or about the AI who's taking over the ship. The new AI is only 3 years old, joined the military straight out of whatever maturation, whatever you want to call AIs being born. He joined the military straight away. He wanted to. He never was in the private sector. This is part of the stress. She's like, what? He's a baby. You're going to put a baby in charge of my ship. And that's what, Jen is saying, is he's past the island, which is boot camp. And he's, totally a good person. Okay. That thought is contained here. That's the end of this thought. Now she's going to get up and she talks about her pilot, right? Okay, so she gets up. Now, I haven't decided what we're doing with Chang, right? So Chang, I don't know, is she sleeping with pajamas on? Is this changing clothes at this point in time? Probably not. It's probably just like her putting on a t-shirt or something. I don't know. Maybe that's what we've got going on here, is she's putting on a t-shirt. So we need her getting up. And again, same thing. We've got business going on here, right? We've got all this chatter going on. it's not important enough to show a full panel's worth of splash to show Chang, because we don't need to establish Chang. We never really got to establish her, so we will establish her a little later when she takes on the ship. Then we'll establish her in full uniform, and she'll be, all dressed up and ready to go. But here, she's a disaster. She's a mess. She's just getting out of bed. She's hungover. She's not feeling good. So we don't want to use a full splash on her unless you want to say that that's who she is forever and ever. Amen. And we don't. It's her growth point. So she's going to get up here and grab this shirt right here out of bed. And this is going to be one of those things. It's intentionally moving closer to Jen. Right? And then, did you hear? And I'll get another panel here where it's just going to be Jen talking. Get a close-up of her. And we want to show when Jen talks, and she's looking up now because we've changed the altitude of our characters. And we want to show that Jen is commenting with, here's a thing that she's trying to say that is good and stuff, but there's a warning here. Yes. And then she's deestática. And then this is, here's Chang putting her shirt on over her head and stuff like that. So, and kind of this shirt going on here. And it's gonna be funny because we're not gonna be able to see any part of her because she's putting her shirt over her head. So she's like, everything gets kind of messed up. So yeah, I don't care. Right? And I feel like I put this separator in the wrong place because I feel like this needs to be here. This is a different thought. Okay, so we'll put this on here. And I like these double panels down here where they're doing sort of the same thing. But I've used it a lot now. The two panels to indicate the same procedure or concept or idea or whatever. I've used it a lot. So I want to kind of... The other thing is, one of the things you'll notice here is that we are going in fours. Comic books must be in fours. Comic books can be any multiple of pages as long as it's 4. You can have 4 pages, you can have 8 pages, you can have 16 pages, you can have 12 pages, right? But you can't have 11 pages. And if you have 10 pages, you're going to have to do something with those other pages. So we're going to go on ahead and stretch the scene out until it fits to, this needs to be page 13. right? That's what this needs to be. So I'm okay if we start stretching this out. So let's go on ahead, and I don't care. And there will be some that do. And I'm actually going to just go on ahead and make this a smaller panel and make this a larger panel right here. Because we need to use her to give sort of the, that there will be others who will, right? And that's the idea here is. And I'm intentionally tilting her head to one side because it's sort of the way sometimes we communicate with one another is we'll tilt her head to say, hey, are you listening to me? Because you need to be listening to me, right? Right? And then I've got time to waste. This is intense right here. Very, very intense, right? So we're going to have Chang standing here in her stupid t-shirt. And I'm going to use intentionally sort of a full body shot. Like, surprised, question mark, like, huh? And the reason is because she didn't think about it, right? So this didn't occur to her. Yeah. Okay. So these are the same shot, one right after another. And what we've got effectively is Jen says, you know your new pilot's day of study, and Lee is putting on her shirt, and I don't care about that. Don't worry about it. It's fine. And then Jen says, but there will be others that do. And there's a tone that Jen is conveying right there. So I really want to show Lee going, huh? Oh, yeah, I get that. So we know we can break 8 into 2. And this can be 8 here, and this can be 9. And the reason is because there's a cute shot right here that I really think is going to illustrate more than anything sort of how this works. But I've got the ability to slow the scene down, right? Because I don't need to worry about this. This is the first 12 pages of this comic. I don't need to worry about it. We can slow it down, right? So we're coming up on 8. 8 says, some of the best relationships are born when misfits team up. Right? And I can go wide again and kind of match this, and I might. And actually, I'm going to lean her in, and I'm going to take out the dresser, right? So I'm going to lean her in, so she's leaning in, and she says, some of the best relationships are born when the misfits team up. Right? Let's let Chang have a moment where she actually isn't a screw up, huh? She says, like you and I, right? So we've got yes, sir, like you and I. These two aren't, they're really good friends. And I'm trying to establish that they're Kirk and Spock, right? This is the old Kirk and Spock. We're already losing. We're starting this story off by transferring Spock off the ship. That's not good. But we gotta screw over Lee as much as possible to make this all work. Um, and I kind of want kind of the effect here that Chang is flumping down on her bed again. And I don't know if I can pull that off. I hope so. Yeah. Yeah. She says, "Ah, Jen." And we'll have Jen like this. Right? She's all happy, floofy hair, whatever Jen's hair is. We haven't decided what Jen looks like yet. Okay. I will. Right? Now we'll move here. And then this is a splash. Maybe. I hope it's a splash. Okay. Now what we've got is this kind of cute shot here where we've got Jen stands up. And like I said, I've got time now, right? So I've got the ability and the time to be able to do whatever I need to do to get this scene to the end. We've got 4 pages to do just one last little section here. This is 2 friends who've been friends for a long time saying goodbye. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to indicate that Jen is standing up by showing her going off screen here. Right? So here's the chair that she's sitting in, and she's pushing herself out of the chair. Right here. She's in a dress uniform, so the dress uniforms have piping on the front, which makes it really easy to draw them. So she stands up and goes, well, Commander Chang. And we're going to do this. She's standing at attention and saluting. Well, Chang sits sort of shocked on the bed. Right? And sit here in her stupid t-shirt. Feeling stupid on bed. But there's no more dresser between them. I'm going to take that out. And we could probably bend this just a little bit so that she's not quite at a 90-degree angle there. We'll want her turned slightly. Right? It's been an honor serving with you, sir. Okay. So I'm actually going to go ahead and just keep this where it is. I was going to put this in here and have her in the inset say bullshit, right? It says Chang stands up as well and says bullshit. Well, we have more space in here now. We can use a little more space on this. So we're kind of working a little bit here on this. It's more difficult than it looks here because I'm kind of feeling like this is why I was saying I don't use the backs of these, because I'm kind of wondering if I can't loosen up a little bit more on these pages and push them all through, which means that I might put a rewriting here, or I might not. I might just leave it alone. But she looks a little shocked here, which is the way we want, right? And actually, now that I'm looking at this, I don't like this line. So we're going to have her stand up in her stupid shirt. And she's going to stand up right here. The reason I thought this was cute was because I think it's funny to think she's got this long shirt and she's wearing, and she's like standing at attention and saluting, which I find completely hysterical in my own little world. And she's got kind of a crooked smile on her face. And she's standing here saluting. Jen, right? Jen. There. And she said, bullshit. She said, Jen. And then I'll put an inset picture here. And she, close up of her. Right. She says right here, says you were better. Okay, now we're on page 11. Okay. So this gives us a lot of the feel of what I'm trying to kind of get with Li Chang. She's military, but she's about as like into the idea of rules and regulations as a dead cat. She's just not hot on it. So we split, but she does understand salute is not a function of the military, but a function of respect. And so giving her the ability to stand up straight and salute indicates that she's showing respect to Jen, irrespectful of the fact that it's a military indicator. It's a function of the military. She wants to show Jen respect. But being Li Chang, she's doing this with an oversized t-shirt on because she's not prim and proper at all. There's no propriety to it. You know, she's not a person who is known for standing on regulations. And she's barely standing through this entire comic. So we've got the two of them. Then at this point, Jen, you took care of us. Da, 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 da. You are a better mom than everything. And that's when Jen flips the script on this. It says, and she's smiling when she says it, bullshit, sir. Right? And at some point, floofy hair. I like floofy hair. I like the idea that it's floofy hair. Okay, and we will stop the way we began. So we'll have this panel. Then we'll have this panel. And no goodbyes, Jen. Until next time. So, stupid t-shirt. I love stupid t-shirt. She says, no goodbyes, Jen. Until next time. Right. And then they hug each other, because that's what real people do, is hug each other. They hug people. I'm a hug person. And we hug each other. You know, even though some of us wear stupid t-shirts. I love stupid t-shirt. Stupid t-shirt is cool. It's funnier in my world because Jen as a character is in full uniform. She's in a dress uniform, her class A's, and she's saluting and being prim and proper and sitting in the chair properly, whereas Lee is barely even existing. She may not even be wearing clothes for the first half of this entire thing, because why? You know, it's like just such a disorganized mess, right? She's just, and so I love that she put stupid t-shirt on, and then stupid t-shirt is like her whole uniform. Stupid t-shirt. I may even like put a dumb design on the stupid t-shirt because it's funny. But I like the dichotomy here. Right? So here's and then fluffy hair. Right, they hug. And then a wide view. Here's as she vanishes. Right? Zorch gone, leaving us with literally an all black panel. And then, yeah. There we go. Right? We've rolled all the way through this great, like, emotional push. We've gone through everything. Jen just dissolves here because Jen is an AI and she's projecting herself into Chang's quarters. So she doesn't actually exist there. She's just a hologram. But we're showing in this sequence of just 12 pages, we're showing a few very critical bits. One, we're showing that, what are you doing, you weird cat? George is upside down, just to see if he can be upside down. We're showing some important pieces to this. The one of the main things we're showing in this sequence is through here, we're showing bits of the universe, right? This is an AI. We're showing that we clearly believe the AIs are all human. We're not treating this AI any different. Clearly, there's a very strong relationship between the two of them. We're establishing our character as Chang, and we're establishing what she's doing. And we're establishing she's a mess. And that people care. And Now we're going to go on ahead and move out of this scene. And it's just blackness. There will be nothing there. It is exactly the way the scene started. Go back here on page 1. Blackness. So it's got the same, it's got symmetry, and we're working. So that's the breakdown. I know that was probably not exciting, but that's okay. Wow, monitor. Hey, look, there's mini me's. And he's entertained. Let's go to the ring camera. Okay. So there you go, guys. That's a breakdown of 10 pages or 12 pages of comics. That's how you break down a 12-page comic. I can usually do that in about an hour. It took 2 this time because I was talking a lot and explaining kind of how I was doing stuff. I hope that wasn't horribly boring. But you kind of get an idea of how I'm seeing the characters, how I'm working the characters, how I'm kind of getting them together and making them make sense. So that's where we are on that one. Tomorrow is artist check-in, so we'll be checking in with the various artists. I'm going to go on ahead and see where I can push with this. Generally speaking, it takes me many days to do one of these comics or doing pages. We probably can do 2 pages every day if we're really high speed, low drag. But I'm not sure. We'll have to see. That'd be nice because then we could probably, if we skipped Watercolor Wednesday, we could get this done in 2 weeks, right? But we've got color on this, so you want to kind of figure out where your color is on this. And that adds a complication. So we'll just find out. That's the whole point of this, right? We've established a little bit about Li Chang. We've established a little bit about the world. All we need is one set, and that's the room that they're in. So we just need to fix that. That won't be a big deal. As far as a 3D set goes. The pieces of that 3D set kind of, I don't know, they're, what am I going on about? I'm talking about drawing comics. But the show's almost over, so it's all good. If you haven't been with me this entire time, I had a 3-page script that I was working on that I just spent the last 2 hours breaking into pages so that we have the idea. It's what's called breaking a script. And we broke the script so we can get ready to start drawing it, which is what we're going to start doing pretty soon. So I have no idea Ukraine versus North Macedonia. I don't. Is that a football game? Are we talking about a football game? Because that could be a football game. Not a sports guy, really. My mom was a sports person. My mom was a real big sports person. So much so, I think she kind of burned me out on sports. Because it was sports all the time. So who's winning? Ukraine, North Macedonia? I am actually kind of curious. Who's winning? Give me a holler on this. Give me an update on that. What's our sit rep? So, because I am kind of curious. Ukraine versus North Macedonia. I don't even know if I have an allegiance between those two teams. Like specifically. If it was Japan, I'd have an allegiance. If it was the United States, I have an allegiance. I'd probably have an allegiance with the UK. I don't know. But those two teams, I might lean a little bit more towards Ukraine. I've got at least a buddy who's from the Ukraine, so probably at least lean towards Ukraine. But my only allegiance would be because I have a buddy from Ukraine. So, like, I don't know anything about the team or how good they are or anything like that. So, what's the situation? Who's winning? Want to give me an update on that? It is 34 degrees outside. We are now 4 degrees above my top level heat tolerance. Just saying. I don't know what's going on here. the upper states of the United States are all experiencing really bad heat. And so we were at 39 at the beginning of the week, and I just want to crawl under something and die at 39 degrees. And way past my tolerance limit at 39. That was a thing that when I was in Japan, it would hit the upper 30s, and I'd be like, this isn't even real. This isn't like the real world. I don't even exist here. So I just crawl under my air conditioning unit and turn it on. So I guess I'm not going to get my update because we are out of time. We're coming up on 11 a.m. Mountain Time. So I don't know. I haven't seen Ghost Hand for a while. So I'm hoping you're okay out there, Ghost Hand. I didn't see Brent or Donald today. So in Brazil, we're at 2 in the afternoon, almost coming up on 2. And it's getting colder, which right now I'm envious of. So there you go. Okay, guys. So like I said, tomorrow is artist check-in. I'll be with Pepper, and I'll probably, if I can haul them in here, get Raph or get Colton in, and they'll be able to join us, and we'll be able to talk about the fact that we broke a script today. So that'll be great. And you were here watching with me. So until then, though, I'm heading off to go get lunch. Go Ukraine? Maybe? I don't know. But you know what? I respect people who like sports because I love my mom, and she was totally on board with sports, and she was a nut. And maybe I don't follow sports because that was over the top. But you know what? She loved it. She was happy. So if you're happy out there watching that game, you do you. You keep doing you and enjoy the heck out of that game. I give one minor push to Ukraine, unless you've got a better reason to go for North Macedonia. So, okay, until tomorrow, guys, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day. And remember, keep your eyes on the stars. Bye-bye. Computer, good night.